Welcome to the Goldenrod Podcast, bringing you some of the latest and greatest Pokemon news and a few laughs along the way. I'm joined by fellow Pokemon enthusiast Conor. Before we begin, you can jump around the podcast by using the timestamps in the description below. Conor, how are we?
I'm doing all right, mate. I'm doing all right. And you know what? I never ever ask how you're doing. How are you today, Ben?
I'm all right. Thanks for asking. I've never noticed that you don't ask me to. It's because I'm the host, though, isn't it? So I guess it's my job to kind of, ask how you're doing. But yes, it is nice to be asked how I'm doing. I'm all right. I think I'm coming down with a bit of a cold, man flu, maybe, because man flu is a real thing.
It is. We suffer worse than women. I'm sorry to say.
It's just one of those things. It's just biologically, it is proven by science that men get it worse in that regard. By the way, I'm just making that up, so I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's actually proven that women get it worse, but men can handle it less. But
that actually okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think that's the actual science behind it. Is there's something to do with how our systems work that just means we actually can't physically deal with it as well.
That probably makes sense. Like men like, manly men. I'm not a manly man at all. And like I'm a whinger. When I'm ill, I will whinge and complain and make it sound like I'm worse than I actually am, unfortunately. I'll whinge, I'll moan, and then, my partner's just like, is it really that bad? I'm like, well, no, but I want to whinge and moan about it.
Well, that's it. It's like we sit there and complain, and women will just look at us and go, yeah, but it's not childbirth, though, is it? Give it a rest.
Yes. Nothing will be as bad as painful as that. Men can never understand that feeling. And to be quite honest with you, I'm okay with that.
All right.
I don't want to go
honestly
through that. I don't want to go through that because it's just like as you get older and because like obviously we all know like our mums went through childbirth, but it's only really like as you grow older and you realize how bad it was. It's like, yeah, I guess if my mum does ask me to help out or something, I should probably do it after what they went through for us. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it for you, Mum.
I carried you for 9 months. You will carry the bags to the kitchen.
Exactly. You'll do that's the bare minimum I request of you, unfortunately. Anyway, after going off on a little tangent there, should we jump into the main segment of this week's podcast? So Conor, I think it's probably best if you introduce this because it was your idea.
Okay, so Pokemon have just released their latest anime mini-series on YouTube called Hisuian Snow, which covers... It's tied into Legends Arceus. It is the tie into Legends Arceus. Yeah. Now, we will eventually, somewhere down the line, reach the Pokemon Journeys episodes that are also tied into Legends Arceus. No spoilers now, but that does come up. But this was their spin-off show, which Pokemon have been doing quite a lot of over the last couple of years. We've had Pokemon Origins. We had... I'm now going to forget all the names of the others completely. Oh. Yep, no, they're all gone.
They're gone. They exist.
They do.
You're not making them up. There was what was the other one? It's on the tip of... when something's on the tip of your tongue? And it's like, it's in your brain, but it's jumbled up, or it's fuzzy.
Generations and Evolutions were two of them. And then you also had Twilight Wings, which was very specifically to do with Sword and Shield. So they've done a lot. Right. They've done a lot over the recent years. How many of those have you watched?
So, I've watched Origins. So, hold on. Let me figure it. Is Origins the one that ends with it basically follows Red?
Yes, it's the story of Red and Blue.
Through. Yes, and it ends with they've changed they change it a little bit because at the very end he gets a Mega Evolution, right?
Yeah, he gets a Mega Charizard versus Mewtwo. That's
it. So I have seen that one and I was absolutely blown away by that. I absolutely loved it. I loved that the Pokemon battles in that felt like it was the perfect combination between the games and the anime, where I remember he takes on Brock with the Charmander, and Brock's like, "Oh, so you're a new trainer? Okay, I'll only use 2 Pokemon."
Yeah.
And I was like, "That is what the games like." I would love if that is how it is in the new games, where because you can take on the gyms in any order. Like, what is typically the 8th gym? Oh, I'll take that on first, so it's going to be easier. But then the first gym that you'd typically take on, well, I'm going to take on them last. So could you imagine if that was the same for Gen 1 and you took on Brock last, and he's got 5 or 6 level 50s. He's got, instead of a Geodude, he's got a Graveler, for example, and he's got his Onyx, or maybe even a Steelix or something like that. I would love to see that. So the fact that they did that in the anime, I was like, oh, that's a nice little touch, and I love that. And I love that when they're battling and you can see their HP on the TV monitors or the big screens that the people that are attending are watching. And I just love seeing Gen 1 done in that kind of animation style. So I love that.
It brings it to life a lot. A lot of those bits of in-game lore that kind of makes sense because it's a game. It's like, no, this is why it works in real life. This is how it just fleshes it out a lot more. And I think
exactly
as you mentioned, the art style in that, it's very different to the anime because although this was still in the era of X and Y, which, as I said on a previous show, had a very shonen feel to the animation, this I'm not clued in enough to tell you how it's different, but I can tell it's different.
Yes.
You can feel it. It feels grittier. It feels...
Oh, it's the fact that... If this is what you meant by gritty, is that like the Pokemon battles feel a lot more raw. Like when Squirtle actually uses Bite and it actually just proper chomps onto Charmander. And I remember seeing that and thinking, I don't think I've ever seen that level of like Pokemon violence.
No, usually it's like a highlighted anime row of teeth that don't make contact, and it's just that's what the move looks like. Yeah,
and the Squirtle just proper went for it, and I absolutely love that. And I know I'm getting off, like jumping ahead a little bit. I love Giovanni. I don't know if you remember Giovanni in that Pokemon Origins and his storyline, where like when Red is actually battling him, and Giovanni's just like got this inner monologue talking about, how did I forget about this, and the thrill of the battle and what it means to be a trainer. And I love that. That's where he ends up, which you don't really see in the original games. And because like the story there's not really a story in the original games. You go off and you do different things, and there's a handful of dialogues. Like Giovanni actually felt like a threat in Pokemon Origins, but actually a character you could understand as well.
Yeah. So they did a lot with Origins, where they kind of took Red and Blue, made it an anime, twisted it a little bit, because I can't quite work out what storyline it's supposed to be taking, because it's not Red and Blue, because obviously he gets the Mega Charizard at the end, which means it's in the Mega Timeline. Yes. But the only Red and Blue games that are in the Mega Timeline is Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but it's definitely not Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So where does it sit technically? Question mark. It's in its own world. It's in its own universe.
It is, yeah. I've heard that before from the. I'm pretty sure I've read it online, and I'm pretty sure in those articles they've said that the developers or the owners of the Pokemon company or whoever it is, or maybe the director at Game Freak, has said that each of the different games take place in their own universe. So there's basically a multiverse of Pokemon, which is why you can overlook like inconsistencies or errors or conflicts in terms of timeline or plot points and things like that. It's why obviously Let's Go is supposed to kind of be a sequel, but it also does a lot of the same things that happened in the original Pokemon games. It's very strange like that, but it's pretty obvious that, for me at least, that the fact that he gets Mega Charizard, is it X? I think it is. Like, sure, that was just a massive promotion for go and buy Pokemon X and Y.
Well, of course it was.
It's got Mega Evolutions for your starters.
I think it actually came out before X and Y. I think that was our first reveal of Charizard X.
That makes sense.
Now,
that makes sense.
This series kind of tied into the whole, because they were doing a big nostalgia push at the time. To set the context for you, Pokemon X and Y was coming out. We knew we were going to get the Kanto starters again. I think we'd just been shown Mega Mewtwo, so they're already tying that back to like the first legendary and stuff like that. Pokemon Go was out, but you could only catch the original 151. So there was so much nostalgia for these original games, and it was pushing Pokemon forward a lot. And they decided to capitalize on it with Pokemon Origins. And I think they really did. I think it's a fantastic series that stands on its own. It doesn't need to be tied into anything else in the universe. It just works. It helps if you have played the games, because it fast forwards through a lot of it.
Yes.
But the exploration of like Lavender Tower is one of my favorite episodes.
Yes,
you get to see Mr. Fuji and like get his whole story, and the Marowak is there actually. Cubone's lost son, I believe it is, which is fantastic. I think
that's one of the things I liked about it, is that it didn't tread the same ground as the anime.
No, that's true.
I think that's one of the things that really stood out, because obviously the first episode is very much, oh, he's taking on Brock. I've kind of already seen this. But then episode 2 starts with pretty much a montage of Red just powering through different parts of the game. And then at that point, I was like, okay, so it isn't just a, let's retell the same story, but instead of Ash, you've now got Red, and it's a bit more faithful to the games. It is more, this is a unique spin that we're going to do on the original Pokemon game.
And even his team is more based on like what was actually good in the games, because I think he takes on the Elite Four with a Persian, which of course back in the day was freaking broken because it had such a high crit potential because of its speed and slash. So it's really cool to see that included on a main character's team, because as far as the anime has always been concerned, Persian is the evil cat. It's a member of Team Rocket and always has been. I just really liked it. And then of course we had, after that, they went on to Generations, I believe was next.
So I think I've seen some of them on YouTube. So that is just like different parts of the games, like little elements of each of the games brought to life. So I think the one that stands out to me is one of the episodes I saw is where they're doing the Team Rocket hidden base in Johto with Dragonite and Lance.
Okay, was that in Generations? Because there's 2 now. Oh, so Generations and Evolutions. So to my memory, Generations was kind of like a snapshot of the games.
Okay.
And then Evolutions was very specific elements from each of the games. Okay. So, for instance, you've got like Lysander taking over the ultimate weapon and firing it off. That whole battle at the end, that is just brought to life in anime. I'm gonna pause for just a second. I'm gonna pull up all of the information here. So I looked it up because I specifically remember Generations episode 1, which is like a snapshot of every single game, because they go on an adventure from Kanto through Kalos.
Oh, okay.
But it does look like they did, for instance, you've got the Cyrus taking over Dialga and Palkia and fighting Giratina. You've got one with Deoxys. You've got the 2, I was going to say Omegas, but the 2 primal reversions for Kyogre and Groudon there. There's N. There's the fight. Oh, that's a really good one. Sorry. I'm just flicking through YouTube now and getting really excited seeing these. So there's episode 13, The Uprising, which is the part from Pokemon Black and White where the gym leaders all show up at the end to fight Team Plasma. Yeah, no, it's really, really cool. Like, they don't do the fight, but they have that moment where everybody shows up. It's like, we are gym leaders. We are here to take you down.
Oh, that's great. I need to watch these. So to go back to the original question, I don't think I've seen any of these, or at least most of these have just passed me by, I guess. But this is making me excited and making me want to go back and binge these.
They're well worth it. And again, they're in that similar kind of animated style where it's more realistic is the wrong term, but there's more adult-esque art style to it.
Okay. Do you think they do this because, like, in my head, I'm thinking that obviously they do the anime, and sometimes maybe there are things that get cut out of the anime because of time, or things that are adapted for the anime and then not the what the the director or the team's original vision was, so they've had to adapt it. So this is their opportunity to go back and go, okay, we didn't like how we did that in the anime, or we didn't get the chance to show that in the anime, therefore we're going to do its own little offbeat episode about these areas of the games.
See, I'm not sure. I don't think it is necessarily that it's bits that we didn't get to see in the anime that we really wanted to show. I think it's Pokemon recognizing that the anime is aimed at younger audiences.
Yes.
And not all of their consumers are that young anymore. As you said last week, a lot of them have grown up now. They're all in their 30s or nearly there. They need to provide something for that audience. And I think that's what this is. It's a case of, look, there is the anime and there is the games. The games appeal to more people than the anime does. Let's make an anime that is specifically for that audience. And then it's released on YouTube. I don't know why it's not on any TV show. Maybe that's because they can keep the episodes shorter, and that allows them to put more money, get more out of it with relatively similar or slightly less money.
Yeah, if they're uploading it straight to their YouTube channel, they probably have they then probably have more control, because they don't have to make it a certain length and then make sure there's enough time built in for adverts and things like that. And they can probably, like you said, be a bit more mature with the content. If you were to whack talking about like Hisuian Snow that we're going to come on to in a bit, like some of those episodes, I think they'd struggle to put on a children's TV channel without making some quite serious changes, I think, to the content. So YouTube probably allows them to get around some of those issues, and for their their artists and the teams behind these to just flex that creativity a little bit and create something that aligns with what their vision is without the constraints of making sure it's it meets any of the standards or criteria for TV.
And flex is a good word for it, because they are flexing in this with the animation.
Yeah. They definitely are. So,
like the colors, the lighting are two that specifically stand out to me, especially if we're going to talk about Hisuian Snow.
Yes.
It's gorgeous.
It is absolutely beautiful. Like I'm watching this and my first thought is this done in a computer, or have they actually gone and painted a lot of these scenes? I still don't know. I can't tell.
So I think the one that stood out to me was, and I'm going to skip to like the third episode, that Garchomp fight at the end. I think that Garchomp was 3D.
Right.
I think elements of that Garchomp were 3D. Okay. Like it didn't stand out massively, but I was like, oh, I see the harder edging there a little bit.
Right, okay.
But I see what you're saying. Like, it feels like old school animation where they'd paint in all the background and it looked really gorgeous, and then they'd lay I don't know what the sheeting is called. I'm a really bad anime fan. I can't tell you what the sheeting's called that they lay over the top of it.
Oh, I haven't got a clue. I don't know.
It's the way they do it is they would, back in the days before we all had computers, you'd have you'd paint your background, and then you would have your sheets that you'd lay over. And
like the cells kind of thing. I'm trying to think what the name is, but I know what you mean. Yeah, because then you don't change the background; you just change the individual, almost the animations. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just watching this, I think one of the things that stood out to me straight away is it definitely seemed more mature in terms of, like, just watching this as an adult actually made me scared of Pokemon. Like, it's actually like sent shivers down my spine just thinking I don't think I've watched anything Pokemon related that puts me on edge, and to the point where it's so different to the present day anime, where life just seems so
fragile,
harsh, and difficult and unforgiving. And that is definitely something that they tried to get across in Legends Arceus, where, you know, they actually say things like, don't die out there. And this...
I'm going to send you out into the wilds to die. Good luck.
Pretty much, yeah. And yet this made me feel like, oh, I actually wouldn't want to exist in this Pokemon world, because it does not seem like...
It's not forgiving in the slightest.
No, it's definitely not. It does feel like you make one slip up and you are just left out there. You are absolutely just gone. And the fact that when they introduce Zoroark and they explain that it's mistreated, and one of the people actually say Pokemon and people can never coexist. And I think this is the first time where I've actually felt myself a little bit swayed by that argument and thinking, I can kind of understand why people think that.
Yeah. No, it does make sense. And again, as you say, they did a really good job of putting you in that time, putting in that era, putting you in that mindset of, no, there is danger around every corner, and if you go out into the big, harsh, wild world, you will just get messed up.
Yeah.
Everything is out to get you.
Yes.
And then we follow this little lad who...
Alec is
luckily,
his name, apparently.
Alec.
Yeah, yes.
Alec is his name. Gets separated from his father.
Yeah.
And comes across a shiny Zorua.
So, which was cute, because like when I saw that, I was like, why does that look different? And it took me a while to figure out. I was like, oh, it's because I've never seen the shiny form of it. And I don't know if you had the same thought as me. The moment he went off and he found it, I was sat there and I didn't know how many episodes this was going to be. My first thought was, wait, this is just How to Train Your Dragon for Pokemon, right? This is where this is going.
I'm going to bring him home and I'm going to change the village's idea of what Pokemon is. But it actually is quite nice because it sets up as a prequel for Legends Arceus.
Yes.
Because we later see Silene, who's got slightly longer hair than she does in the game. Yeah. She's still part of the security corps. She hasn't taken on her role yet.
Is she not?
Has in the game.
Oh.
No, she hasn't taken on her captain role yet.
Okay.
So I really, really liked it as a setup for that game of, all right, no, people don't like Pokemon. People don't want anything to do with them because they are dangerous. Like, there's even that part in the third episode where a Rufflet gets like spat out of a
distortion
space-time
zone.
rift.
Yeah.
And starts flying towards the gate, and you can hear it's amazing to me that they did this. It's the kids that are screaming, no, it's injured, we need to help it.
Yes.
Because that's how children are. They don't see danger. They just see something. Oh, somebody's in need. I can help.
Yeah.
And so they close the gates on him. It's like, it's a little Rufflet. It's already injured. But what are you doing?
It is, what are you doing? But from their point of view, like this is like they are explorers in a land they don't know. And if they don't know what that Pokemon is, because this is before technology, before the Pokedex, this for some of them could be the first time seeing that Pokemon. And don't get me wrong, it looks all cute and adorable. But you know, if they've come across Pokemon that are dangerous out in the wild, and I'm sure there are, you know, smaller Pokemon, like obviously when we think of the dangerous Pokemon Legends Arceus, we think of like, you know, like Garchomp, Lucario, the alphas that are really strong and powerful. But like, we've seen like the Shinx are quite aggressive in, you know, the Obsidian Fields lands. And you'd probably think, I can go up to that and pet that. So they're probably seeing the adults are probably seeing this what was it? A Rufflet, is it? What is it called? Probably seeing that and thinking, let's close the gates because we've seen what these cute Pokemon can actually do. And
to be fair, you don't want to let the Rufflet in and then have to deal with the Braviary mother afterwards.
Yes, coming in. Oh, yeah,
because no wall is keeping that thing out.
No. Oh, yeah. Well, it's especially because the wall only goes up to a certain height. Like, and most Pokemon that can, I don't know, use Dig, use Teleport, that can fly, or surf around to the wherever you start in the Prelude Beach or whatever it's called. Like, it's that is not keeping anything out at all. Like those mons are getting in, and I love the callbacks to Legends Arc. It's like the fact that when Alex is hurt and the Zorua like brings a medicinal leak from the game, and I was just like, oh my god, that is such a nice little tie back to Legends Arc. To the point where when I'm watching this, the more I'm watching this, the more I'm thinking, I kind of wish I got the chance to watch this before playing the game, because it really does kind of set the tone, I think, Legends Arceus.
Okay, interesting. It's a nice thought, actually. I hadn't considered that myself, because obviously I was like, well, I know what this is about and I can recognize moments from it because and that's always going to be your issue with prequels.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Is do you watch it first or do you watch it second kind of thing?
And it's difficult. Go on. Oh, we're too polite. We're too polite. Go on.
So I really like the medicinal leak bit. I think that's in like the second episode.
Yes.
Because it's said that he then goes on to be a doctor or is pretending to be a doctor. Which I was like, okay, is he... Because if your son can heal people, you don't say he's pretending to be a doctor, especially in that time period.
Yes.
So is it that he's healing Pokemon?
I don't... Because at the end of the second episode, it transitions to him on a boat as a grown-up. And I was like... But I was really confused, because I was like, well, he was already in the Hisuian region. But episode 2 ends with him on a boat arriving in the Hisuian region as an adult. So I was a little bit confused, because it's a flashback, right? The first 2 episodes are a flashback.
Not as... Yes. I think what they've essentially... It's really weirdly paced, and I remember watching it, and I watched the first 2 episodes because I watched this as it came out, and it's come out over the course of like 6 weeks, I think. Wow. It's not been a weekly show, which I was very confused as to how short it was as well.
Yeah,
but it almost feels like it was written as a 45-minute short film that then got split up into 3 episodes, and it kind of doesn't work for me.
No,
the first 2 episodes. Nothing really happens. And it's not till I watched the 3rd one today that I was like, oh, okay. Oh, all right. Yeah. Now as a whole, it works. Now as a whole, I really enjoy it. Before I was just like, all right, kid gets lost in the woods, finds a Pokemon who he should be scared of, but he's not scared of because it's kind of cute. And they learn to look out for each other as they try and find their way back, except from their dads don't get along. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the first 2 episode synopsis.
Yes.
Like that's half an hour worth of footage. And really, really gorgeous footage. The one thing I will say about it, though, I think uploading to YouTube really did it a disservice. I saw so much compression on it. Just in the really... And again, we're talking about these really gorgeous backdrops and all the colors and all the light. And I could just see all the colors starting to pixelate.
Oh, really?
Like, oh, no.
Oh, okay. Were you watching it on, like, a large screen, or at least,
I was.
Right, okay. See, I wasn't, so I didn't notice that. But my monitors are utter garbage anyway, so if I did, like, maximize it, I probably would notice what you were noticing as well. And that is unfortunate, because... it does take away, like, it always goes back to that argument of, you know, what do you play games for? And there's always that, you know, group of people that say the graphics. And me personally, I prefer a good story or the game mechanics, something like that. But I will admit, graphics does always play a part in it. Like, it can have the best system and everything in the game, but if it's got rubbish graphics, it's going to take away from it. So I can understand your point about, you know, seeing the compression. So did that... When you saw the compression and the issues there, did it like take you out of it?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I was already, as I say, it was the first 2 episodes, so I was already like, okay, this is happening. It's beautiful, but it's just kind of happening.
Yes,
like, and not a lot is going on, especially in that second episode.
It's so one of the points I've got is it's slow, the second episode, but by that I mean. And I can't tell if they're trying to pad it out or they're trying to be artsy, where it lingers on certain frames where nothing happens or it just zooms in, but there's no change to the characters, how their facial expressions or the backgrounds or anything, where it just lingers on things, and I can't tell whether or not that is to have an impact or more for cost and time. I'm not sure.
There will be a little bit of both. I mean, it's an anime, so cost-saving measures are a massive thing, especially, again, with it is such a high-value anime.
Yeah.
I will put it up there. I will give this thing praise and say it once again. It looks gorgeous.
Yes.
It is possibly the best a Pokemon anime has ever looked.
Ooh, high praise there. Ooh.
But...
okay.
that is expensive,
yes.
And usually when it comes to anime and stuff like that, you'll usually see that's why lip flaps are a thing.
Yes.
If you've ever looked into how abridged series are made or anything like that, you'll know that lip flaps are all that move, and that's a cost saving measure.
Yes.
Especially. So I think that idea of just a slow zoom will be a cost saving moment.
Yeah.
I think it was done for an artistic reason, as you say. It's a slower series.
Yes, it definitely is. And the notes I've kind of got, because I'm saving everything about episode 3 to the end, because episode 3 was definitely the pinnacle for me. But just on episode 2, at the very end, there's 2 things that I didn't expect. One is, did you notice Volo was on the pier looking at a map?
No,
Volo's on the left. Yeah, Volo's on the left. Doesn't say anything. And I paused it and I looked at him and I was like, that is Volo. But I don't know if there's a couple of other people that have that kind of haircut or anything. So I went away and I Googled it and I got them up the Bulbapedia article. I was like, that is 100% Volo looking at a map talking with somebody else from the Ginkgo Guild. But other than that, it has no impacts. It's a nice little Easter egg. And the only other thing that ended episode 2 was the distortion zone just appearing, or the time-space rift, or what space-time rifts? I call them distortion zones, but I don't know where I've got that from.
Space-time distortions, I believe, is what they are called.
Right, okay.
The space-time rift is very specifically the one that's atop Mount Coronet.
Oh, okay.
The one that is constant.
Yes, that you see throughout the entire game. I didn't expect that. When I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, right. I'm now really invested in seeing where this goes and what impact, if any, it has on the Legends Arceus game. Because one of the things when Alec is helping out and everything, and he's a lot more open to Pokemon than everyone else is. And I kind of thought, well, I don't want them to push too far with that, because it's very much the player in Legends Arceus that really kind of drives home that, well, actually, Pokemon can be companions, they can be friends, they can be pets, for lack of a better word. And I didn't want them to push that too far with this, to the point where it diminishes the character in the game. And I don't think they went too far. If anything, I felt like this kind of probably did help in terms of some of the Jubilife Village residents probably seeing what Alec did and thinking, oh, actually, maybe Pokemon aren't all that bad. And I think there's a lot of conflict in Legends Arceus between just people, well, conflict or confusion by people you just talk to. And it's all the side quests that you do in Legends Arceus where people are actually starting to come around to Pokemon, but they're still unsure as to what they're capable of or whether or not they can be trusted. And I love that this
the one I always think of is the Chimecho quest with the old lady.
Yes.
Who's like, there's a Pokemon there. I don't want it to suffer. I want it to be happy, but I just don't want it near me. And then you take it around and you drop it off at a bunch of different places, and eventually she's like, you know what? I kind of missed it when it was gone. Sure, you can stay there. It's fine.
Yeah.
And can we just briefly, and it is very briefly, just talk about the unsung hero of Pokemon Legends Arceus?
Go on.
Which is the woman who keeps the pasture.
Everybody
else in this world is terrified of Pokemon.
And she's just like
200, 300 Pokemon. Yeah. You want me to look after them? Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, you've literally got Dialga and Palkia in the pasture. Literally the Pokemon of space and time. Yeah, sure, I'll just look after them for a little bit.
Do you know what they eat? No? Oh,
No.
all right. Don't worry about it then.
I'll
That's-
figure it
that's cool.
out. Don't worry about it. Tell you who is another unsung hero. I don't know his name, but the guard at the entrance gates with the mutton chops, he's in this as well. As is
He is, yes.
Zisu, is it? The red-haired...
Zisu is the red-haired one at
Yes.
the top by the fighting
That's
arena.
the one. So there's little cameos from them, as well as Silene, which did... Like, because the first show Silene where she's looking out over the area, and it's from a side-on perspective, and I was like, that is Silene, right? And I thought that was just going to be she's just looking over it, and then it pans back to Ali. And she actually talks. She actually plays a part in it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I didn't expect. I didn't think they'd go that far tying it in. I thought that was quite nice.
Yeah, you get your first introduction to like early Galaxy Squad.
Yes.
You can tell that they're not fully settled in yet. They've built the village and they have the security core and things like that, but they're not really venturing out that far. I think it's even brought up of like, oh, the security core will go with you. Are you sure? Is that a thing you're ready to do? It's like, they're called the security core. Surely that's what they're for.
Yeah, you'd think so. It really did hammer home just how unprepared everyone was for this journey to the Hisuian region, to the point where is it ever explained in the game why they go to the Hisuian region?
I think they all have their own reasons individually.
Right.
They've all got their own reasons for just trying to go and find a place of peace, I think is how it's put.
Okay.
I think if you look into like the lore in that, I know Commander Kamado like lost his wife and things.
Okay.
Before heading out to Hisui. So they've all got their own individual reasons, but they're just trying to find a home where there is no conflict, there is no war going on.
Interesting. Okay. So they go to a continent where they have two rival factions kicking off about space and time. Okay, that's one way to.
But they keep themselves to themselves.
They
mostly.
do. Yes, they
until
do.
you show up.
Until you show up and just stir the pot, basically.
Basically.
The other thing is, I don't think I've ever been scared of a Bomber Snow until now. The
totally.
size of them.
It sold the scale very well in this.
It did. Yes. Oh, yes. It really did. And that's one of the things that is always... It's one of the things, actually, that I want to talk about in the Pokemon Journeys discussion that we got coming up. But yeah, one of the things that you don't typically get in the games is a sense of scale with the Pokemon. And the anime's been really good with this.
So there's an argument to be made, and it is an argument that is made often. Do you think true scale should be present within the 3D games?
Yes. And my reason for that is because I've seen it where they go the complete opposite way in BDSP, and they have the chibi sprites, and you've got a Rayquaza or, Dialga or whatever following you, and it's a cute little itty bitty monster. And I know that's a chibi thing, I get that, but I want to see the true size of these Pokemon, and just because it just helps to add to the Pokemon's character. And one of the things that annoys me is like everyone brings up the Whale Lord, like the Whale Lord's too big, it's absolutely massive. Well, that was on Game Freak for making it that size ultimately. So if they can't handle that, just retcon it and go, well, the size that you found in the Hoenn Pokedex, like that's it's
maximum.
Yeah, but typically they don't grow to that size. And you could have the argument of, well, the wild ones grow that big because they just keep growing into the space they've got. Whereas the ones that are caught typically are smaller because they're in the Pokeball and there's less space for them to take up. And there's ways around that. I think.
But Ben, all Pokemon have the natural ability to shrink.
No, hold on. Go on. I'll let you go first. Let's see if we're going the same way here with this. Go on, you go first.
No, it's a stupid argument. I agree with you. I think realistically they should be the size they are stated to be.
Yes.
I saw a fan-made version of BDSP, the fight with Dialga at the end, and they'd made a Pikachu and they'd made a Dialga actual size. Oh, wow. And the Dialga is big enough that when the camera's zooming around and stuff, its head is cut off. But it really sells to you, oh my god, I am fighting the god of time.
Yes, exactly.
This thing is going to eat me.
Yeah.
I should fear for my life.
Yeah.
And it does a lot for your immersion. It does a lot for putting you into this world and making you really feel what you should be.
Yeah. And Legends Arceus did that really well with the alphas, I found, where you just come across an alpha in the wild, you look at it, and like the Garchomp, for example, or even the Kricketune early on, and you just look at it thinking, why is this Pokemon so big? I've never seen a Pokemon this big. And it's one of the things that Legends Arceus did well, amongst many things that it did well, is the different size of the Pokemon, where it actually felt like, oh, even though I've got these two Pokemon, they aren't the same. They're different. Because when they're all the exact same size and, there's no distinction between the male and female, you just get to the point where you think, well, what's the difference between the Pokemon I've got in my party and the one that's out in the wild? There's no difference. It doesn't help you to connect. Whereas, if you catch an alpha and the size of it and you throw it out in battle and it's just huge and it's bigger than the wild, Pokemon that you're battling that's the same species, but the one you've got's alpha and the one you're fighting isn't. It just helps to make you think, oh, mine's unique, mine's special, and I therefore connect with this Pokemon. Whereas if they're all the same, you don't get that connection. So the only major thing I've got is, why are they called pocket monsters? Right, pocket monsters implies to me that they invented the Pokeballs, therefore they put the Pokemon into the Pokeballs. And
I had this exact same thought watching this episode. I was like, why do you call them Pokemon?
It doesn't make any sense. They at this point they should just be called monsters. And it's only when they learn to catch and train them, and they then keep them in the Pokeballs, which are, they shrink down, hence you can put them in your pocket, at which point they become pocket monsters. Pokemon.
So there's actually not in the Legends Arceus, sorry, in the Arceus movie, the Jewel of Life, they go back in time to some kind of ancient civilization,
right?
And they don't call them Pokemon; they call them magical creatures, which makes sense.
I can get on board with that.
Exactly what you'd call them.
Yeah, I can get on board with that because for if you went back in time and saw them, you would think, before technology and science and all that, you would think, oh, they are magical. And to be fair, some of the Pokemon are straight up magical. Like when you think about, the Pokemon that can teleport, for example, or they can, change space, they can change time. You would look at them.
Even just the ones that can breathe fire.
Yeah, you would think, oh, that's quite magical. That isn't like Lucario is able to create like an aura. Like you'd look at that and think, oh, there's something magical going on there, right?
Yeah. So I agree with you. They should definitely be magical creatures rather than Pokemon before Pokeballs are invented. Or even, more importantly, mass adopted, really.
What do you mean by mass? Oh, you mean before they...
Like everybody has them and everybody keeps these monsters in their pocket.
Yes. At which point it becomes a transition of, oh, they're now pocket monsters. Which actually, I only thought about this watching this episode, and it's when they're holding the Pokeball at the end, I'm like, oh, so that's the first sighting of a Pokeball in the Hisuian region. And it just was that the first Pokeball ever created, or are Pokeballs common in other regions by this point?
So I think Pokeballs came from a different region. I think it's the Galaxy Squad that first adopts them in Hisui.
Right.
But they come over, because I think off the top of I cannot remember now where Laventon is from. I was going to say he's from Alola, but
there's rumors he's from Galar. Isn't he supposed to be related to Leon and Hop distantly?
Oh, that would make a lot of sense.
Oh, I thought you'd be all over that, knowing.
I know. I'm pretty sure I've looked into it because I think Kamado might be from Galar as well.
Because it's the same armor that's worn by one of the blokes in one of the Elite Four in Kalos.
Kalos.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure that armor comes from Galar. I might be wrong there, but I think that's the connection. I'm pretty sure that the way I've read somewhere vaguely that Leon and Hop, if you look at them from a certain angle, their hair is supposed to be shaped like crowns. And Professor Laventon? Laventon. His headpiece is supposed to be shaped in some way by a crown, is what I've heard. And that's supposed to be the link, and the hair colour and stuff like that. So whether or not that is been confirmed or it's just speculation, I don't know. But maybe because if he came from Galar, kind of makes sense that maybe Pokeballs are more readily available, or they were available there first, especially because, the Darkest Day took place how many thousands of years
3,000.
before? 3,000 years. So you'd think between those two gaps in time, maybe they've been used in some way, and maybe that ties in with Gen 2 where ancient Pokeballs are crafted from the apricorns, are they?
Yeah, the apricorns. Yeah, so you've got the great smiths.
Yes,
which is what they're referred to, and Kurt is like the last of the line of the great smiths who created the Pokeballs from the apricorns. Now, we know that Johto and Sinnoh have a lot of connections in their history. You've got the Sinjoh ruins and all that kind of stuff. So it's very possible that actually that's where Alec went. He went to Johto, and that's where he went for all those years, and that's why he had the Pokeball.
Right, okay. Interesting. But they're not pocket monsters at this point.
They're not. They shouldn't be pocket monsters, no.
Brilliant. You got anything else you want to talk about?
Other than Zorua is super cute,
yes,
as it always
agreed.
should be.
Yep.
I hadn't even realized playing the game that it wore its little neck scarf above its mouth. That's freaking adorable.
It's cute, yeah.
And if you weren't aware, the mask that Alec gets at the end, the purpley one, is now available in game.
Oh, is it? So a nice little tie in there.
It is now available in game as of Wednesday.
Oh, nice. There was a couple of masks out. I noticed that some of the kids were wearing the Pikachu and Eevee mask, which I've never worn in game because I think they look ugly as anything. But from in this with the kids wearing them, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But
it's really funny because I've not long just watched Demon Slayer, and I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No, I haven't.
But there's a whole thing in that where wearing that is basically a death sentence for a lot of these kids. And I couldn't get that out of my head watching this. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, because could you imagine if they're wearing a Pikachu face mask thing, and Pikachu will obviously have some kind of, it'll have a predator somewhere in the wild. Could you imagine if that predator sees it and just think, that's a Pikachu? And just...
Well, that's, in a weird sense, I think those masks, historically speaking, were designed to protect the wearer. So it was a case of, if a spirit or a demon sees you, they will consider you one of them and will leave you alone.
Okay. Which might tie in with the Zoroark, actually, thinking about it. That actually makes sense. Okay. That's pretty cool. Love it.
Yeah, nice little bit of history.
Love a little bit of history. Right. We've looked back. Should we look forward now at Pokemon Journeys?
Let's do it.
Let's do it more. It's just if you're an anime fan, Pokemon anime fan, you're getting your money's worth this week, even though you're not paying for it. So first episode is episode 5, Mind-Boggling Dynamax. So what did you think?
So I love this episode.
Yes.
I actually do. I think it's amazing them setting foot in the wild area for the first time. We get to see our first Gigantamax Pokemon in the anime.
Yes.
And I think this was actually the reveal for Snorlax as well. I don't think it was available in-game yet.
Oh, really?
To my memory, I don't think it was available in-game when this first released.
I absolutely loved that. Snorlax is huge even before it Dynamaxes. It is massive.
Yeah, they state it's supposed to be about 7 foot tall, and then this one's about 10.5 feet tall.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, because I'm pretty sure in one of the episodes we're going to come to later on, Hariyama is in one of the later episodes, and that's the size I expected Snorlax to be. But apparently Hariyama is bigger than Snorlax, which really confused me. But then this Snorlax is bigger. I looked up the Pokedex entries to confirm it. I was like, why is this Snorlax bigger. But
so just because I've got the image in my head now that you're talking about, and we will come on to it. But how big is Hariyama meant to be?
So Hariyama is meant to be 7 foot 7 inches, and Snorlax is meant to be 6 foot 11 inches.
Okay, so about half a foot ish between them.
Yeah, but this.
Oh, I didn't realize Hariyama was bigger.
It's absolutely. When I saw that, I was like, wait, what? It's that big. But anyway, it's huge before he Dynamaxes, then even bigger after he Dynamaxes. When he does Dynamax, he shoots lasers from its hands.
Yeah,
what?
Because we've seen Snorlax shoot hyper beams from all sorts of places. At this point.
Have
I think we've
we?
seen it cut. It's come out the mouth. It's come out the eyes.
Yeah,
and now we've seen it come out the hand. It just seems like they will shoot hyper beams out of whatever body part takes the least amount of effort at the time.
Okay, that makes that makes sense now, because I've never thought about hyper beam in that way, because it's never really been shown in game. Like, they never animate it to the point where, you know, the eyes glow or the mouth opens or it raises the fists or whatever it might be. But it did take me by surprise. I was like, wait, what? What's that? But that makes sense if it is hyper beam. I just love that. One of the comments I got down is Ash is stupid, where they told, like, look out for the red lights. And
oh my god,
he
yes.
starts at the train line. He's like, these are the red lights? He's just like, Ash, no. What are you doing?
I don't think that's what they're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely brilliant. What's it? Is Dynamaxing painful? Because in the Pokédex entries, Mega Evolution is supposed to be painful, and that didn't look like it was pleasant. Like trees literally growing out of him. That is something that from a nightmare that was.
So, at least in my own research, Dynamaxing has not been described as painful in the same way that Mega Evolution was. You know, Mega Evolution, you're talking about when Glalie Mega evolves, its jaw dislocates and stuff like that. And it's very descriptive in the way that it's like these Pokemon are pushing their bodies way beyond the limit, and it is causing them suffering to do so. Yeah. Dynamaxing is never described in that way.
Right.
It's more to do with these particles. Think of it similar to like PIM particles in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
It just shrinks it and it grows you.
That makes sense.
It doesn't put a physical, well, it does put a physical exertion on your body, but not to any real extent.
Okay.
Whereas Mega Evolutions, you are pushing your own limits. You're pushing your own body past its limits.
That makes sense.
Dynamaxing, it's very much the Galar particles that are doing most of the heavy lifting for you.
Okay, yeah, I like that. So we have Salad in the anime, and this might seem a bit strange that I'm bringing this up. So some
Salad.
So we have Salad in the anime, right? Which is fine, but then we also have some Pokemon that kind of are real life, like our real life equivalents of Salad, if that makes sense.
Okay, where are you going with this?
So by that logic, could in like millennia time, some of the salad that they are currently eating eventually evolve to become Pokemon, and they'd be angry at us for eating their ancestors?
There's an ultimate question.
I don't know if I'm reaching there. I might be reaching.
So it is my belief that Pokemon exist where Pokemon to me are like spirits. So where spiritual energy exists,
yes,
where something is alive and spiritual energy is around it, that creates a Pokemon.
Okay.
So that's why you can have like Voltorb will originally be an Apricorn, but eventually be a Pokeball kind of thing, because it's the same spiritual energy just around a different creation and things like that. I'm not too sold on this. I need to do more looking into it.
Like,
but I don't think so.
No.
I don't think a random tree is going to come to life someday. Unless it is, of course, possessed by the spirit of a lost child.
Is that Trevenant
who
by any
died in the
chance?
forest? Yeah, that's Phantom very specifically.
Right.
Is a lost child in the forest.
Oh god. Because like, what made me think of that is because Gen 9 we've got, I can't remember the name, but we've got the olive Pokemon making an appearance, right? And in the real world, we eat olives. So, like, if they have salads and they have olives on salads, you get where I'm going with
real
this.
talk,
Yeah.
I think they eat Smoliv.
You wouldn't surprise me, you know. Like,
well,
they've got to eat
they
something.
at least eat the oil that Smoliv produces.
Because it's like fish Pokemon. Surely, like, what's the difference between eating tuna in our real world and eating Magikarp in their world? Like, there's...
I don't think there is.
No, exactly.
I don't think there is. I mean, again, the anime has touched on it a couple of times very early on about, like, eating Magikarp and things like that. They have strayed away from it over the years because...
Yes, it's difficult to... Yeah... Not in.
Well, it's because, you know, we always ask, like, where is that line between food and pet? And I've always argued it's halfway through the rabbit. But where do you draw that line in Pokemon? Because usually you go, well, where it starts to be cute. Well, they're all cute.
They're all,
They've all got more. There's a discussion. Do Pokemon have more sentience than our own creatures? Probably not. But
yeah.
Arguably, yes. They can all communicate with each other.
Well, they can all show emotion as well, which means that they can feel pain.
Yeah,
and,
there is that. And considering that Meowth learns to talk and can have an actual conversation and will translate for other Pokemon who effectively can have a conversation. It's not just the legendaries. It's like, no, this is what they're trying to say. It's not just... You know, this is how they feel. It's no, this is what they're trying to say. They are trying to communicate with you.
Yeah. Oh God, this is a bucket of waves you've opened. Should we move on to the next episode?
So yeah, the Gigantamax Snorlax was really cool, and that was kind of all that happened this episode. Yeah, it wasn't.
Oh, what else happened?
Score Bunny.
Score Bunny is adorable. I've got a note there. Like, absolutely love Score Bunny. He's just, he's adorable. Love it.
It's very animated.
Yes.
Very animated, and I like it a lot.
Which is, like, the impression I got from it when we first saw the trailer for Sword and Shield, and it shows you the starters, and Score Bunny's, like, running around and just having, like, a whale of a time. And, I just wish we got this kind of animation in the games where they felt like real creatures rather than just digital assets.
There's only so much you can do.
I know. Anyway,
are you happy to see him join the squad, though?
I am. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing where that storyline goes, and what becomes of Score Bunny.
All right, on to the next one.
On to the next episode. Pidgey has no chill with Gust. Just absolutely just wreck shot with the team. Just blows them all away. Like, no messing around.
Did you like the callback?
What was the callback? With Ash,
the callback was that Ash tried to catch a Pidgey first.
Yes.
Then a Pidgeotto. Then a Caterpie.
Yes. Right. Okay. When it was going, I didn't completely cotton on, but I didn't get the order, but when he was catching, I was like, this is very similar to Ash and the first couple of episodes of him trying to build his team. And I love that this was it felt like a very much a go episode.
Mm-hmm.
And just him starting that journey and doing the stuff that Ash has already done. Because if we've mentioned this in previous podcast episodes, is that if this was Ash doing the same stuff again, I'd probably be a lot less forgiving. But because it's not Ash, and Ash is taking almost a mentor role, I'm all for just showing Go's, like, rawness when it comes to catching Pokemon. Like when he's trying to get the Diglett, and he's just like, him and Score Bunny's got a bit of a disconnect, and Score Bunny's just like jumping left, right, and center trying to get this Diglett, and I absolutely loved it. Did you notice the remix game music in the pincer battle?
No, I missed that.
It was about halfway through the battle with the pincer, and I was like, I recognize this music, and that's when I started listening to it. I was like, oh, it's the battle music from Sword and Shield, I think, and they've just remixed it.
Nice. I like it a lot.
So cool. And I can't believe Go's luck catching Pokemon without weakening them. Like,
I told you, right?
This
this never changes. This gets
not?
Worse, if anything.
Oh, it was strange because, like, at this point, it's not even like, this is more like the Safari Zone than it is actually like, it's just like throwing Pokeballs left, right, center.
And he brings it up later. He's like, oh, but this is easier.
Yes,
just
he does.
Pokeballs is easier.
And it is. Like, Legends Arceus attests to that, where instead of, like, having to weaken the Pokemon, you just, like, running around just loving Pokeballs left, right, center. Every Pokemon you can see. Which explains why in the very first season of the original Pokemon anime, why Ash ends up with, like, 30 Tauros. Because it's so easy just throw loads of Pokeballs, right?
That's the best way forward.
Apparently so.
I like that he at least has to fight the Scyther.
Yes, which, funnily enough, I think pays off in the next episode, where he needs to build a team, and Pinsir just doesn't really want to fight for him, whereas Scyther does. Scyther is like...
You hold on to that Pinsir. That Pinsir has a great character.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a recurring character, and I like that Pinsir a lot.
Okay.
It's really cute.
Okay, right. I'm looking for... I thought...
Not a word I would usually associate with Pinsir is cute, but this one is.
Okay, I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes, because I thought that might just be like a once and done for this episode and the next episode, and Scyther is the one that he uses more.
Oh. Again, uses... Go doesn't really use Pokemon. He's not really there for battles, as, again, is attested to in the next episode. But... a lot of his Pokemon do come up again and again and again.
Okay, right.
Ash very much. It's the difference between the two. You know, Ash will build his team through this, and I think it's on the next episode where we're finally going to get introduced to what Ash's goal is going to be through this.
Yes, so
not the next episode we're going to talk about, but the next episode we're going to watch next week.
Oh, okay. Because the next episode that we did watch, Serving Up the Flute Chop, if you're ready to move on. Really showed like Ash's development, where, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but Go raises the question of, wait, you're bringing Mr. Mime?
Oh, it's so good.
And Ash,
it's so good.
It is like Ash is, as far as I'm aware, never used this Pokemon before. It's his mum's Mr. Mime, right?
Yeah, so they met Mimey, God, way back in the Indigo League. I think we saw it put up a bunch of reflects, and that's kind of it. After that, it's just been a house husband, effectively, for
Pretty
Delia.
much, yeah. Wait, hold on. Ash's mum has a name.
Delia, yeah.
Oh,
Delia
I didn't know
Ketchum.
that. Oh, I didn't know that. All right, is that like? Did they say that in the anime? Have I missed that?
Yes.
Okay.
Quite a lot.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, I never even noticed it. But Mr. Mime can really go to
throw down.
Yeah, like I just loved his facial animation when
it's so good.
There's a few times where something happens or something's said, and it zooms in on Mr. Mime, and it shows this completely, like, it's a complete
creepy.
It's a complete break from the animation style that I'm used to the point where it really stands out, and I'm like, oh my, right, I'm actually terrified of this Mr. Mime now.
But they know that going in. They know that everybody thinks Mr. Mime is creepy.
Yes.
They know that nobody really likes this Pokemon, except from those odd outliers out there.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you know what? Even the commentator mentioned it. It's like, I've got a whole new respect for Mr. Mime after what I've seen here today. And it's you're not wrong. You're not wrong, sir.
I've made that note. Like I've put like Mr. Mime is OP, and the commentator. I've actually got this in quotes. My opinion of Mr. Mime has done a complete 180, and that is not just. I don't think that's even the commentator. That is like speaking for the fans of Pokemon, going, oh, I kind of see why like psychic types are so broken, and Mr. Mime in general could be like the way he just like shuts down the Hariyama with the reflex is fantastic.
But they did a really good job of setting it up, of being like, well, no, Mr. Mime does Tai Chi. He's not a fighter.
Yes.
They call it martial arts, which I guess Tai Chi is a martial art.
Oh, was it? I thought it was yoga, so it's Tai Chi.
No, it's very specifically Tai Chi. There's kind of slow movements that are all to do with like stretching your body out and breathing and things like that.
Right. Okay.
Again, if not really designed as a martial art, but apparently could be used as one.
Apparently so. I really liked. I think the trainer's called Hodge, and when him and Hariyama turn up, and straight away I'm thinking, oh, I know this character. I've seen this character in anime so many times, and he's
the delinquent.
Yeah, no, he only lives by his rules and everything like that.
He's got the pompadour, he's got the spiky teeth, he's even got the crazy eyes.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I know exactly where this is going. And I expected him to just be a bit of an ass, to be honest with you. And he's not. Like, they just
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He's calm, he's respectful, and like he literally turns up Harry Army, and you think, oh, this is gonna kick off. And he's like, no, I need to get to the recycling bins, basically.
Yeah, what a cool introduction of like, no, I'm just trying to be good to the environment.
Oh, it was just absolutely fantastic to see him just like even when he gets into the battle, and like there's a respect between him and Ash, even though they've never met before, but they both understand, they're both really good trainers and they respect their Pokemon. And it's absolutely, it's just absolutely fantastic. And to see how Go performs in this flute,
Poor kid. The flutes. Do you know what those flutes do? By the way, Ben.
So,
do you know what any of those flutes
what the hell does a yellow flute do? For those of you who don't know, I think I need to explain this. On my YouTube channel, a long, long time ago, this is when I first started. I think it was like episode 3, episode 4. I put up a video about the episode title was "What the hell is a yellow flute?" Basically, the premise is when I was doing the intro to the video, it was me spending about 10 minutes trying to find this hidden item, only to be left disappointed when I find it, and I'm like, "Oh, it's a yellow flute. What the hell is a yellow flute?" It is one of my most viewed videos on YouTube. And I think
most hated.
And I think it's probably got the most dislikes, because I think people come to that video expecting it to be a yellow flute tutorial of either where to find the yellow flute or what the yellow flute does, and it's not. And it's got something like 3,000 views, about 30 dislikes, because people come to it and it's not what they expect. To the point where I've actually had to go back and change the title of that video to try and make sure it doesn't get caught up in the algorithm, and it still does. And I've had to put a top comment and pin it and put, like, this isn't a tutorial on where to find the yellow flute. It's not a tutorial on what the yellow flute does. And for some reason, YouTube keeps recommending this video, so I don't want to hear any more about flutes. So, moving on to the actual...
Can we talk about Ash actually performing? Because as you say, Go gets trounced.
Yes, he does.
For a lack of a better word, the guy gets trounced.
Yes.
And then we kind of see, as you say, it's a Go-centric episode. So as Go leaves, we don't really see Ash do all of his preliminary battles. We only get to see the finals.
Yes.
And that guy is still pulling out some BS moves.
Who Ash is?
The electro web on the hole in the roof to kind of like bounce off of it. Like, oh, come on!
So how does that work in terms of surely the owners would be like, hold on a second. Surely there have been enough Pokemon battles to the point where there's a rule book around. Yeah, destroying the building. Does that get you disqualified because you're technically not controlling your Pokemon? Can you, and it goes back to, like, Ash using the sprinklers against Brock.
Uh-huh. What's the insurance policy on these buildings? Like,
yeah. When that first happened, and I'm starting to get... So, let me just, explain this. When he destroys the roof of the building, I thought at first, that's just a nod to Pikachu's power. It's showing you how powerful Pikachu is. But then have you ever heard the phrase in films and TVs called Chekhov's gun?
Uh-huh.
Where for those of you who don't know, like, if they deliberately show you something, it's a setup for later on.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to notice this more and more now, that since having it explained to me that in shows, for example, if, it lingers on a sword, for example, in a TV show, they're going to come back to that sword.
It needs to be used by the end of the show.
Yes, exactly. So when they did the hole, and at first I thought, it's just not to his power. And then obviously, like you say, he uses the electro web. I'm like, I should have clued in that that's where that is going. But if I was Hodge, I'd be a bit like, hold on a second. Like, I'm all for, fair game and sportsmanship, but is that allowed? Is that legal?
Did he not leave the arena?
Technically,
I know he put a web there, but he left the roof. He went out of the building.
Yes.
We build these specifically high so that flying Pokemon can come in here and take part. But he flew higher than the flying Pokemon are allowed to. Ref! Ref!
Come on. Oh, but the only comment that I've got left on this episode is, again, and I've said this, is if that had been Ash losing that battle, I would have been really frustrated. But that's the great thing about partnering Go and Ash together, is you've now got that balance between a fresh and raw trainer who is going to make a lot of mistakes but learn from it, and it doesn't
somebody who's allowed to be a champion.
Yes, it doesn't diminish Ash to the point where you've mentioned before, like, you know, Ash gets off the boat and he loses to the first level 5 Snivy that he comes across. Just because they need to, you know, absolutely demolish Ash's character development so that he can start again. And I'm glad that they're not doing that for this. It's making this series a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, he's not infallible in this series. He does lose somewhat throughout this, but it's always a well-fought fight.
Yes.
And he always comes back stronger. And it's just so good. Seriously, if you've not watched Journeys yet, go watch Journeys. It's so good.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad that we decided to jump on this for the segment. Anything else for these episodes?
No, I think that pretty much covers all my thoughts on it.
Nice, right, okay. So, as usual, you ready to challenge me in a guessing game?
Oh, it's not going to give me a guessing game. I'm going to know the answers.
You're going to know. Okay. So for those of you that haven't joined us before, in front of me, I have 3 Pokemon with 3 Pokedex entries each. But Conor has to spot the fake entry. And there's a theme. We're going for the Kanto starters this week.
Oh, okay. Here we go. I should know this.
So you should know these.
It's going to be a difficult one because I've known these Pokemon forever, but they're also one of the ones with the most Pokedex entries.
Yes. I've learned this looking at. There are so many entries that surely you're going to get tripped up. So the first one is Charmander. I should have done these in the order they actually appear in. I haven't. I've gone.
Yeah.
Anyway. So the flame that burns at the tip of its tail is an indication of its emotions. The flame wavers when Charmander is enjoying itself. If the Pokemon becomes enraged, the flame burns fiercely. The second entry, it is a preference for hot things. When it rains, steam is said to spout from the tip of its tail. And the final entry, even newborn Charmander have a flame at the tip of their tail. It has been known to accidentally burn its trainer.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure the third one I've read. So the second one is the one I feel isn't correct, but I'm doing my poker methods here. I'm playing I'm playing the player, not the game.
Okay.
I don't think there's enough information in the second one for you to have written it, so I'm gonna go with the first one.
Oh, so I like where you're going, but it was actually the third one. Unfortunately,
it was the third one.
It was the third one. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I'm sure I've read that somewhere. Okay, fair enough.
No. Next one, Squirtle. Squirtle enjoy lounging around near lakes and rivers and often nap inside their shell. Second entry, after birth, its back swells and hardens into a shell. Powerfully sprays foam from its mouth. Don't know if I've missed something in that one. Interesting.
That sounded gross.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
It's almost like it's missing a connector or something. Anyway, the third and final entry, it shelters itself in its shell, then strikes back with spouts of water at every opportunity.
Ooh. The third one?
No, it's the first one. I'm afraid.
It's the first one. That was the one I actually thought, and I'm in a position now where I'm second guessing myself so much.
I'm glad I went for the Kanto stars because, as you say, there are that many entries that all of them sound real.
And again, it's one of those. I know these Pokemon so well that I don't go looking for the Pokemon entries.
Yeah.
There's so much other lore about them that aren't present in the Dex entries.
Yes.
So I don't. Okay. All right.
Okay. Third and final one, Bulbasaur. Strange seed was planted on its back at birth. The plant sprouts and grows with this Pokemon. The next entry is, it can go for days without eating a single morsel. In the bulb on its back, it stores energy. And the third and final entry, Bulbasaur has a strange bulb on its back that provides nutrients. However, nobody has ever opened one to check.
That third one, surely.
Sure.
No.
I'll save you any suffering. You're right. Well done. You've got
Okay.
You got
what? I hate that idea. Don't open up Bulbasaur's bowl.
Is that what gave it away?
No, I just really didn't like that idea, and I didn't want that to be the right one.
Could you imagine
to be
that?
fair, I also don't like the idea of planting a seed in a toad.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's kind of cruel.
Like, does he? Because it hatches out. This is the strange thing about Pokemon. They hatch out the egg and they just happen to have it. But there are inconsistencies when it comes to hatching Pokemon and Pokedex entries.
Mm-hmm.
Like certain Pokemon already wearing clothes and stuff like that. It's strange. So the whole bulb on its back, I have no idea how that. I'm not opening that kind of worms because we're going to get sidetracked. Let's move on to letters and comments. Yeah.
Can we just bring up the fact that I'm going backwards now? Like the last
yes.
couple of weeks, I've scored 2 out of 3, and now I've scored 1 out of 3. This is getting worse.
So for you obviously want to score 3 out of 3. For me, I want you to score 0 out of 3, basically. so neither of us are happy.
So we'll see who wins. We'll see who gets it first.
We will. Right, okay, time for some letters and comments. Our first question comes courtesy of Paul Doherty on the YouTube version of our latest podcast. He asks...
Doherty.
Oh, did I absolutely...
Otherwise, we'll get a comment.
Oh,
we love you, Paul.
I'm sorry. Anyway, they ask, who's your favorite companion for Ash in the anime?
I mean, it's Brock, right?
Oh, I was thinking Pokemon.
Oh no, companion.
Companion.
Like, his
okay.
companions.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Why Brock for you?
Why is it not Brock? It's always Brock.
It's always
Brock is
Brock.
the best. Brock is Brock. The man uses a frying pan as a drying pan, and he cooks and he cleans, and he has 18 different siblings and looks after them. So he's got that paternal instinct.
Right.
And he gets Ash out of a lot of trouble and teaches him the ways of becoming a man. Yeah, he's a little bit of a creep, and we have to overlook over that as sometimes because, anime.
Yes. Okay. For me...
But I love Brock.
I can understand loving Brock. I've only seen the original Pokemon anime, most of Johto, I think, and then obviously whatever we're looking at Journeys.
So you've got Brock, Misty, Tracy, or Go.
Pretty much.
And it's not Tracy because Tracy's the worst.
He was the one with Marill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I vaguely remember.
I suppose you could technically throw Todd Snap in there because he was a companion for a short period.
I don't remember him. He's from actual Snap, isn't he? Wait, he was in the anime.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I didn't know that. For me, I'd probably say Misty, just because of the relationship between those two and the fact that they infuriate one another, but then there are times I remember growing up where they actually do care for one another and their love of Pokemon brings their friendship closer together. So you can't go wrong with the OG of Brock and Misty, I don't think.
So do you know they were originally supposed to get together?
Wait, Ash and Misty were?
Yep. So there was originally an ending to the first Pokemon movie where it skips ahead in time.
Oh,
and Ash has a child. I think it's a daughter, and the mother is implied to be Misty.
Whoa! Where have you now? What?
Now this is cut. This doesn't exist anymore. But that was the original ending that we were supposed to get to the first Pokemon movie.
Whoa! Okay. Why did they? I guess I can understand why they cut it because it's kind of like, where's this come from? Why is this needed in the film? But
well, actually, since then, one of the creators of the series has come out and said that Ash is aromantic. He doesn't have romantic feelings towards anyone.
Well, he is like 10, so I kind of...
Well, no. Like even as he gets older, he loves his friends, and he loves everyone as a friend, and that's as far as that goes.
Oh, interesting.
Because there was a whole thing with Serena in X and Y where they kind of set it up that she was definitely into him.
Right.
Like she had this childhood crush on him, and that has, I think it even flows on into this series in Journeys. They bring Serena back. They don't actually meet up, but she talks about Ash in a very favorable way, and like she was his first kiss at the end of X and Y.
Wait, what?
And she leaves, and she's all blushing, and he's just like, "Huh, okay." I guess that happened.
He's just like, no, not for me. Moving on.
But yeah, one of the creators came out and just like, yeah,
Oh,
no,
wow.
Ash is he doesn't feel romance. He doesn't not that he doesn't understand it. He
Yes.
just doesn't feel it himself.
Interesting. Oh, right.
Which, it's his ability to be in love in a platonic way with everyone is what makes him so strong. That's that ability to love his Pokemon equally is what gives him his strength, kind of thing.
Oh, Conor, this is why I love having you on the podcast. I just learned so much. Love it. Right, next question. You ready?
Go on.
This next question comes from Rising Phoenix, again on the YouTube version of the podcast. What was the series you had the most fun doing?
Is this like a series I created on YouTube?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's how I read it.
There's a couple. I think for me it will always be my Black Nuzlocke.
Okay.
Which was the first series I did when I came back to YouTube. So the first one that Lewis edited for me and things like that. It was the first time I played through Black.
Oh.
I knew it was a very story-driven game, so it was also the first series where I'd ever done like voice acting and played out the roles, which has become a staple on my channel now when we do RPG games, because that did so well, because it really sucked me into the story. I fell in love with these characters. N was Shatner. There was a whole...
N was Shatner, really?
I don't know why. It didn't initially intend to be. I think it's because
take over the world.
It was. It really was. It was like, I see that you are a good person to your Pokemon. And I think it was because right at the very beginning, I give him a really fast voice. And Sharon turns around and was like, would you slow down, please? Oh, God. And Sharon was Goofy. For some reason, Sharon just ended up with Goofy's voice.
Yuck. Love it.
But yeah, no, that one still stands out to me. Some of the Pokemon in that are still up there as my all-time favorites. Cadet the Umbreon that like just carried me through that game. Oh man, I love that series so much. And it really just it wasn't just, okay, I'm now playing a game. It was, I'm experiencing something here that I wouldn't have got had I just done this on my own. I wouldn't have done the voices. I wouldn't have been acting this all out and things like that and really pulling myself into the game the way I am now. So creating this series has made this game more enjoyable to me than it would have been on its own. And that's why I think it will always stand for me as something a little bit special.
Wow. That's nice to hear. For me, it's probably one of my collabs. And I've enjoyed all my different collabs for different reasons. Like the one we did with for our wedlock was absolutely fantastic, and it was just the right mix of like an actual versus like a competitive element, but also the fun and the laughs that we brought from it. And it always, the one thing that I always take away from that is horse girl energy. And I was just like, what? We had a conversation about what that actually meant.
I can't believe you'd never heard of mad horse girl energy before.
I hadn't.
But you know it now, right? You see it.
Yes, I know it now. But probably one of the ones that I had the most just insanity on was when I did a collab with British Eagle, who you know,
of course,
friend of the podcast. And I don't know if you've ever met or spoken to Soul Christ. We did a three-way versus in red, blue, and yellow, and absolutely had a blast doing that. And then British went upon himself to create a highlights video of from the series, and it goes on for about 45 minutes. I've probably contributed about 15 views to that video. I just whack it on every now and again, and it's just absolutely just insanity. Like, they bring something out of me. I don't know what it is. I don't know why.
I understand.
I pride myself on being PG to some degree. By PG, I mean like no swearing, but they just make me break that, and I don't know why. I don't know why it happens.
It was the one thing I was going to say. I don't know Soul Chris personally. I have watched a couple of his things, mostly your collabs together. Yeah. But I absolutely love that he brings just a certain energy, as you say, to that collab. The fact that you have to do so much more editing when he's involved because he is just swearier than the rest of you, and the fact that unfortunately he has led everybody to believe that British's name is Frank.
Which is not, to the point where the first couple of times I spoke with British, I was like, yeah, Frank, and he's like, that's not my name. And I was like, wait, what? And he explained it. I was like, right, okay, that makes sense.
For those who don't know, British Eagle was originally supposed to be part of this podcast as well, and hopefully we'll have him on as a guest sometime in the future. So when I came up with the idea of like, oh, we should all use our actual names, he was like, yeah, no, that's great. And then I put together a little layout, and I'm like, well, I know mine, and I know Ben's. Frank? Question mark?
Just like
and I knew, I was like, I'll put this in here, expecting it to be wrong. Yes. I expect it to be wrong. But it's forgivably wrong.
It's forgivably wrong. Like I remember when I'm not going to say his real name, but when I found out his real name was because I did some artwork for him, and he paid me on PayPal. And I just remember it coming through like, "Oh, you've got a payment from," and I was just like, "Who's this?" I was just like, "What? Who's this randomer paying me money?" And then he came through with the surname as well. And I'm just looking at this, going, who the hell's this? Who was sending me money? And then like I drilled down, and British was like, yeah, I've paid you. I was like, right, okay, that makes sense now.
YouTube and our aliases.
Oh, it gets messy. So
it'll be interesting in a couple of years' time to be like, well, no, these people I call by their actual names. These people I'll always refer to them as their YouTube names.
Well, it's gonna be weird when we collab again and do another Wedlock.
Oh, yeah. I fully expect to just... Because I now speak about you to some of my friends who, like, I talk to about this, the channel and what I'm doing and stuff like that and the work I'm going on with. And I will now say Ben. And they're like, who's Ben? I'm like, Hohen. They go, oh, right, yeah. It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know you're about. Funnily enough, I do the same where, like, you know, my partner and my daughter know about British. And... I just call them British, and they don't even question it anymore. They don't even go, "Who's that?" They just know. Oh, I'm talking about British, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, British." It's just strange. So
love it. Love this job. It's great.
So the next question comes from Intrepid over on Discord, which I'm not even going to try and plug that here because it needs its own story behind that. So they've asked, what is your favorite main series game per console? So should we hammer these out quickly?
Per console.
Per console.
Wow. Okay, let's go for it then.
Okay,
we're combining the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color, right?
Yes. So what's your favorite?
Okay. Game Boy Color is probably gold.
Yellow for me.
That's fair.
Just for nostalgia purposes. Advanced. There's only 3 games in there on this.
Emerald, then, I guess?
Yeah, Emerald, just because we
are mainline only, right?
Yeah, mainline only. Emerald, even though I never played it until recently, but it just combines the best of both of them.
I think it stands stronger than Ruby or Sapphire.
Agreed. The DS. So we've got Gen 4 and Gen 5. So
Heart Gold.
Oh, actually,
Gen 5's in there as well.
Yeah,
it's Heart Gold.
Yeah,
Black and White's so good though.
I know. Heart Gold, just because that if someone was like, right, you can only play one of the games on, I would pick Heart Gold. Yeah,
and that's it. It is my favorite game of all of the franchise.
Yeah.
But Black and White is really
good as well. It is. Black and White is a second and a close second, but for me, Heart Gold takes it.
I'll tell you what, I think Black and White is strengthened by having a randomizer on it.
Agreed.
I think the regional Pokedex is not... There's a lot of cool Pokemon in there, but you don't get them very early on, and it kind of suffers for it. Yeah,
and somebody pointed out for me that, like, I remember the first time I played Black is in the last 7 years maybe, and one of the strengths to it I maintain, and I don't think they didn't do it very well, but the strength of it is you can't use any of the original Pokemon, so it forces you to build a team of Pokemon, and that was one of the great things for me, was like, it's kind of like playing Yellow again, where I don't know these Pokemon, I don't know what moves they learn, I don't know the strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that, but then somebody ruined it by pointing out that a lot of the Pokemon are just
the same Pokemon again.
The same Pokemon as Kanto, and they're just redesigns, and I was like, okay, that's kind of spoiled.
You can't unsee it all of a sudden.
Yeah, unfortunately. But as you say, like having a randomizer in that game makes it an absolute blast to play. 3DS.
Omega Ruby? I don't think X and Y are that strong.
See, I have a major soft spot for Pokemon X because that was one of the games that got me back into the series. So I have like a nostalgic like love for that game.
Yeah,
but
I can understand that. Yeah, I just don't.
But Alpha Sapphire is like there's a reason why that is held up as like a fantastic remake. It gets.
I think
so
of
much
the
right.
newer gens, it's the one I've played the most.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. There we go. I love how we didn't even think about Sun and Moon or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which is a shame because
they're great. But I played Ultra Sun once.
Yeah.
And enjoyed my time with it, but I don't need to spend 3 hours on that first island ever again. And it suffers for that, because after that, it's actually a really good game, but it's just such a slog right at the very beginning. So starting it again just does not bring me any joy in the slightest.
It is difficult, and the Gen 7 games, I enjoy them more every time I play them, but yeah, absolutely right. Just give me a dialogue skip button or a cutscene skip button, and maybe an option where, you don't play for 10 minutes, then get your starters, then play for another hour, and then you're into the game. It's like, just let me straight in the game. Anyway, Switch.
I mean, it's Legends Arceus.
Yeah, it is Legends Arceus. So, let's take that out. Let's say the main gens. So, let's say you've got to choose
between...
we've
only got Sword and Shield.
Sword and Shield... EDSP?
Because no.
Let's go.
I've not played them yet.
Have you not?
No.
Oh, we need an episode on that at some point because I absolutely love the Let's Go games. I know.
I would love to look at it now that the kind of, I was going to say the hype for it has died down, but the hate for it has died down. I can have my own view on it, and I might be able to like get something out of the game.
Right. Okay. You need to do that so we can do an episode on that at one point in the future, because I would love to have a discussion about that, because I remember when it did come out and people were just ripping into it, and I love that game. Absolutely. It gets so much right. Don't get me wrong, there are things that I'm not a huge fan of, but it gets so much right. So okay, right. Are you ready for the next question? Kind of ties in with this, and we've kind of half answered it. Is it opinions on the new gen of Pokemon games on the Switch era, courtesy of Hungry Ever Hungaring, I think?
Okay, so I think they've tried this generation. You're talking about the Switch era, kind of thing. Yeah. So Let's Go, Sword and Shield, and Legends Arceus with Scarlet and Violet to come. And because I can't comment on those just yet. And BDSP. Oh,
just well, okay, let's just both go on the record here. BDSP, absolute waste of a license.
Oh, I don't know what it is for me, because it's not a bad game. Okay, it does a lot right. In that, I mean, it speeds up Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah,
massively, which was one of the biggest problems I've always had with Gen 4. It's just slow.
So slow. Yeah.
I've never had the biggest nostalgia for Gen 4 anyway. I think we both discussed last week. That's kind of where we both kind of dropped the franchise and was the game that made us go, okay, I might be over this now.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a lot of love for it going in. I think it missed a trick in not being a Platinum remake.
Agreed.
I understand that they wanted to make a Diamond and Pearl remake, but Platinum introduced way too much to that game for it to be just dropped. The distortion world, the updated teams, and all that kind of stuff.
I forgot about the distortion world. That's beautiful. That is. Oh, right.
So it's a mistake that they dropped a lot of that stuff. I did a sleep lock of Brilliant Diamond the day it released.
I remember that. That's brutal.
I played the entire game in 20 hours, and I'll tell you what, by the end of it, I was really mad. I was mad that I beat that sleep lock.
Yes.
Because I won due to the affection mechanic.
Oh, it saves you.
I hate the affection mechanic. And the reason I hate it, right, is because they finally gave the gym leaders, the Elite Four had IVs and EVs.
Yes, they were powered
They
up.
had actual strategy. They had good held items, and they made a really powerful Elite Four that just gets nerfed because my Pokemon refuses to die.
Yeah, it just stays in. It just I've had it before where it survived, I think, 3 turns on the bounce because of the friendship mechanic.
It cures itself from poison.
Yeah.
It survived a critical hit all the way down to 1 HP, even though it's already on 1 HP.
Yep.
It's like, oh, just stop.
Yep.
Just, I want to lose at this point. I'm not enjoying this.
Oh, it's such a shame. The games that could have been, eh? What about the other games on the Switch?
Again, Let's Go, I can't really comment on too much.
Okay.
I appreciate what they try to do.
Yeah.
I feel like this generation, or this era, I think, rather than a generation, is trying to update the formula a lot. I think they are trying to test the waters with new mechanics, new play styles. Let's Go obviously got a lot of flack for it. I think it broke a lot of new grounds. I think the walking with Pokemon has never been done better.
Agreed. That is just, it looks so good in that game.
You know, riding the Arcanine, riding the even like the Charizard and the Aerodactyl, the Snorlax is one of my favorites.
Have you seen the Electrode?
Does it roll? You roll on top of it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So yeah, those kind of things are perfect. I think the design is actually really smart. I think it's really well implemented. I'm not sold on the catching mechanic just yet, but again, not played the game, so can't really have an opinion on it. I think they're fine. I think they're fine. I don't think they deserve the hate that they got.
No.
And I know you've got a soft spot, so I'll let you go off.
There are issues with Let's Go. One is they should have just made it a sequel. I don't get the whole, it's a remake, but it's also a sequel, and it overlaps the timeline of Fire Red and Leaf Green. They should have just made it a sequel. I do enjoy the catching mechanic, but only because I played it to play with my daughter. If I'd have played it on my own first, I think I would have gotten frustrated with it. I love the fact that was the first introduction to Pokemon in the overworld. Want it? Yeah. Love that.
Which was so well implemented that they tried to jam it into Sword and Shield right at the very end of creation.
Oh, did they? Oh, was that?
Which is why it doesn't work quite as well in Sword and Shield, because it was a last minute addition.
That explains that then, because in Let's Go, it works almost perfectly. That the Pokemon actually feel alive, a lot more alive in that than they do in Sword and Shield. The shiny catching mechanic is absolutely amazing. I love that. I love the HMs are revamped. It's one of the best ways HMs have been introduced, I think. I love the post game where it actually challenges you to, you beat the game. Well, now you can go and track down Green and Red and battle them. You can battle basically the elite trainers, where it's a one-on-one battle between like your Caterpie versus their Caterpie, your Pikachu versus their Pikachu, and it's really difficult to the point where I never complete it. The art style, I think, is I still think it's the best art style we've ever had in a Pokemon game.
There's a hot take.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I absolutely just fell in love with it. It's just the right level of, it's not trying to be too realistic, but it's not too chibi. It's just got.
I could take some updated lighting on it.
If
I had to make a comment,
yes.
I think you're right. The actual design is really nice. I could use some better lighting.
Yeah, I can get
everything seems a little bit bright.
I can get that. I love the fact that it's just so colourful. I love a colourful game, and to go from, even though I've played Fire Red and Leaf Green, they're not what I remember of Gen 1. It's that black and white, and just the fact that you get out and you're in Pallet Town. It's like, it's so green and colourful, and I love it. There's a lot I love about that game. So Sword and Shield,
they're good games.
Yeah, gotten better over time, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think the expansion pack did a lot for them, especially the second one.
Yes.
I actually didn't play the Isle of Armor for years, actually, after it came out because people just tore it apart. And I'm one of these people where if something's too hyped or too hated, I won't touch it. I need to leave it so that I can come into it almost with like fresh eyes and develop my own opinion. So I came back to the Isle of Armor, I think this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the characters were really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. It wasn't very long.
No.
And I think if I'd played it when it first came out and that, I'd paid however much for the expansion and that's all I had access to now, I'd probably be a bit miffed. But I got some good time out of it. I think I've used the max raid dens are some of my most played
good fun
time in Pokemon. I don't do a lot of online battling. I don't do a lot of trading. I'm not a shiny hunter or anything. So it gave me something to do.
Yeah.
Once I'd beaten the game, that was really fun. I think a lot of the characters in it are really good. I think Hop. Oh boy, Hop. I have so many thoughts on Hop, but that might be an entire episode.
I tell you what we should do at some point. We should do an episode on the rivals.
Yes.
That'd be
I agree completely.
That'd be good. So let's part that bus for now. Sword and Shield is one of those ones where when I played it the first time, I was left disappointed. But as I've gone back and revisited it, especially for challenge videos as well, the challenge video, because I've heard a lot of complaints about Sword and Shield's really easy. Try and do a challenge on it, then like a solo Pokemon run, or limiting yourself, and you'll realize actually how difficult the game can be, especially when I didn't realize this until I did a video where I tried to beat it with just a Baldum, and I set up the EVs of is it the EVs of my Pokemon? The EVs are the ones where you can build up to a maximum 252, right? Is that the IVs? It's the EVs. EVs.
No, the EVs are the ones you can build up to 252.
That's it.
That's the ones that you develop. Yes. The IVs are the one it's born with.
Right, that's it. So I had the EV set up in a certain way, and I got to Chairman Rose in that battle, and I just couldn't get past with Baldum, who only has 4 moves, so it was really difficult. So I was like, okay, right, if I respect my my EVs to a certain way, I should be able to get past this. And by changing the EVs, it changed what Chairman Rose actually did in that battle. And it made me realize there's a lot more going on under the hood. Because obviously it looked at the EVs and gone, well, now, instead of 2-shotting you, I can 1-shot you. So it went from, boosted me speed, but actually that doesn't help me to get through this battle. So there's a lot more going on under the hood of that game than I think some people realize or give it credit for. And the DLC for those games was DLC done right, in my opinion. And the wild area I was disappointed with, but the smaller wild areas you get in the DLC felt a lot more real. Like they
felt more packed.
Yes.
They felt like there was a lot more going on.
Yeah. Whereas the wild area in the core game, Pokemon Sword and Shield, just
open plains, really.
It's just
like,
empty.
well, this is your plains area. It's like break some grass. Here's your desert area. Great, it's desert.
It's just
here's your snowy area. It's just a grass area, but it snows.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, great, thanks, guys.
Pretty much. So, just very quickly, when you said that originally the Pokemon weren't supposed to be in the overworld, does that mean there wasn't going to be a wild area, or that the wild area had no Pokemon in it? Or do we not know?
I couldn't tell you. I will try and find the interview where they were like, no, after we saw how people reacted to Pokemon in the overworld and Let's Go Pikachu, we tried to include that in Sword and Shield. But their main premise for the game was Dynamaxing.
Yes.
And I really liked the way they think about it, because they were like, well, the Switch, you can play it in the small version or you can put it on the big screen. So let's take our small Pokemon and make them big.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's make it an event. Oh, we're in the UK. What's an event in the UK? Oh, football or soccer for our American audiences. Let's make these stadiums this huge event.
They got
and the
right.
music.
Yeah.
Oh, the music is some of the best in Pokemon.
Agreed.
It's just so good.
Agreed.
The gym leader theme is on my gym list. It's so good. Just the audience getting into it, and they're like, so
good.
It's like, yes.
Oh, it's fantastic. One last thing that those games. Oh, where was I going with that? Oh, yes. One last thing where that those games got right is the climax with. So typically, like whenever you in a Pokemon game, it's like you've got to beat the legendary Pokemon, and it's always right. There's a legendary Pokemon, Master Ball, done and dusted. Like, oh, that was a bit anticlimactic. The 4-on-1 battle against Eternatus. Oh, when like you're battling and nothing's happening, it's beating Charizard and Leon, and then Zamazenta and Zacian appear, and the music kicks in, and it's a 4-on-1 battle. Oh my god, that is how legendary battles should feel like. Where
it's really cool. They don't even give you the box art legendary till post game.
Yes, which I love. I love that because it happens in all the other generations. You get the legendary Pokemon that's on the front of the game, and it's just OP, and you end up using that in the Elite Four and just wrecking sharp. And this didn't feel like that. You needed to build a team, and you couldn't rely on overpowered Pokemon.
And you're right. You fight this legendary, and it feels like you're fighting to save the world. It feels like if you lose here, that giant hand in the sky is going to destroy everything.
Definitely. Okay. The only other game is Legends Arceus, but I think we both love that game. Yeah,
we both agree it's a fantastic game. The overworld maybe needs some more stuff going on in it, but we've spoke before about the game mechanics being fantastic and something I really want implemented more in the main series.
Definitely. One final question will be really quick. Who do you think is the most underrated Pokemon ever from Captain Mod?
Oh, there is a question. Go on, you can start this one as I take a think.
Probably like Sunkern. Yes, like just absolutely. No, actually, you know what? No. What's that Pokemon that hasn't got an evolution begins with D? Dunsparce. That's underrated, I feel.
No, it's not. Dunsparce is overrated. It gets so much love from the fandom. They all want it to have an evolution.
I'm hanging around
Dunsparce is overrated.
Okay, I'm hanging around the wrong communities then, apparently. Well, if you got... This is a really hard one just to do off the top of your head. Have you got one?
This is, because you think an underrated Pokemon, you've got to actually, like...
Think. It's just...
I'm trying to think of a... Oh, here you go. Swoobat.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Simply because, going back to my Black Nuzlocke, I started that series with Swoobat being the one Pokemon I hated. Mm-hmm. I will always say, like, I don't hate Pokemon anymore, because it's really dumb. Every Pokemon has its value, and everyone can win you over. Yeah. And it was that Black series that made me realize it, because I caught this Swoobat, and I was like, oh no, I hate Swoobat. I hate his stupid nose and his big furry neckerchief and a dumb bat face and Swoobat. And this thing, it didn't carry my team, but it pulled its weight.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it by the end. So yeah, you go, Swoobat.
You go. Actually, I want to change my answer.
Go on.
Chikorita. And I know I'm biased.
Of course.
I know I'm biased here. But like whenever I see a poll on Reddit or Twitter, and it's like, and they've got a limited amount of options, and Gen 2 is always missed out. And it's always like other. And everyone just absolutely just craps on the Chikorita line. And it's unfortunate because like Meganium is like a good tank. It's a good stalling Pokemon, and it does have its uses, and it saved me in Nuzlocke in the past. So yeah, there we go. Not that I'm biased or anything.
It suffered in its home region.
It did. Yeah. Oh yeah. The first couple of gyms just absolutely wrecks it, unfortunately. Right. That is all the comments and questions that we have this week. As always, you can reach us by leaving a comment on our podcast on YouTube, or by emailing goldenrodpod@gmail.com. Right. Very quickly, Pidgey. I've done it again. Conor, what have you got going on this week?
Oh, what have I got going on this week? Not a lot, maybe. So we've got... hopefully not going to be rushed out, but has been expedited. I've got a video coming out about a missed detail from the second trailer of Scarlet and Violet. That covers the fact that we're going to have more than just gyms available to us and what the possible evil teams will be.
Oh, okay. Absolutely love that. From me, I'm starting a new collab series. I've already recorded the first two. It is a cage lock. I'm not going to say who it's with because we've not announced who it's with yet. And the other thing that I'm working on is it's a video around what is the worst team to take on Brock with. To the point where the reason I've done this is I've been thinking about it for a while, but I've seen a couple of videos where it was like, what's the best team for this region? And then I've seen a couple of videos where it's like, oh, what's the worst team for this region? But when I've watched those videos, it feels very much like well, I can still beat the game. It might be the worst team, but I can still beat the game with it if I, grinded, high enough or whatever. And then I thought to myself, what's the worst team to take on Brock to the point where you physically cannot get past Brock? Like, it is impossible to get past Brock, even though you've got a full team of 6. So I'll finish the script. I need to record that. It should only be a quick 5-minute, maybe 10-minute video at the max, but I'm looking forward to doing that. So yeah, I think I might. Did I talk about this last week?
I think so. I think you briefly mentioned it.
Well, it's come a long way since then, so the script's done. I just need to record it and then pull it together. Right, okay, that's the show for this week, all wrapped up. If you've gotten this far, you're just a top dollar, aren't you? I can't believe I'm keeping that in. Conor, where can we find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel at Captain Fidget or on Twitter at CapFidget.
Perfect. And I'm Ben, and you can find me as Professor Hoenn on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. As for the Goldenrod Podcast, you can find us on all the usual platforms. Search for Goldenrod Podcast on YouTube or on your usual podcast app. Leave a like on YouTube or a 5-star review if you're listening as a podcast. We'll be back next week for another week of Pokemon podcast content. See ya.